We finally made it, guys. The Super Freaking 9. That's right, The Masked Singer has officially eliminated half of its contestants. And it's time to knock one more off the stage, so here's our recap of tonight's reveal, clues, and our best guesses for everyone left on Season 3. And while I changed one guess this episode, I am officially locking in my answers for the season. April Fools, I'm not committing to that just yet, but you're gonna wanna hit subscribe and turn on your notifications because I'm pretty sure I'm guessing all this masked mayhem right, but you're not gonna wanna miss it if I'm wrong. Speaking of getting stuff wrong, even I was fooled by a reveal this episode. The guest panelist was revealed to be Snoop Dogg, except it was just Nick's friend who happens to look identical to the legend himself. You made an April Fool of me, Nick. Congratulations.
I just gave a man I've never met the longest hug.
Anyway, moving past that debacle, the performances this week were honestly some of the best we've seen so far. The Turtle nailed Higher Love by Steve Winwood. The Kangaroo sang her heart out to Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks. White Tiger definitely, performed I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred. And yeah, it was no surprise to see White Tiger voted into the bottom 3. Finally. Next up, The Kitty belted It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion. Banana took us all to Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd. Frog, ironically enough, landed Jump by Criss Cross. And unfortunately, the banana just didn't make the peel and was sent to the bottom 3 as well. Night Angel, as always, amazed us with Rise Up by Andra Day. Rhino gave a strong performance of What a Man Gotta Do by the Jonas Brothers. And finally was The Astronaut with Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. And the audience just wasn't ready for him to give up either, so they sent the Rhino to the bottom 3. And so, after half a season, the person finally voted to be unmasked at the end of the night was the White Tiger. Listen, I'm not gonna apologize, that dude cannot sing. His clues were also hella obvious. Let's get into it. This episode he hinted, I know I don't have the best voice, trust me, but I do know that I can turn this stage to the raunchiest party on the block. And this episode's contestants are not only sharing a super clue, but an April Fool's hint at what they're not. This White Tiger super clue was him pretending to shoot a basket, which he followed with swish swish. After his performance, his April Fool clue was, I'm not just bronze, I'm brains, I even wrote a best-selling book. The judges set their final guesses as Rob Gronkowski, John Cena, and JJ Watt.
Can I get a what?
Y'all are still throwing out guesses as wild as Ken and Nicole with names like Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Come on, guys. I've known since day one that the White Tiger is Gronk. Saw that unmasking from a mile away. That party hint this week was obviously referencing Gronk's notorious partying. Plus, he was in Katy Perry's Swish Swish music video and co-wrote the best-selling book, It's Good to Be Gronk. Everyone loved you, dude, but it was time to step aside for the real talent. Me. But I'm not on the show, so here's who's left. The Turtle hinted this episode, I realized that to win, I had to become one with the turtle like a method actor. I run a 10K before each show wearing a 40-pound vest to get used to the heaviness of my show. That's a quarter of my body weight, so to win this you need more than a good voice, so I added tons of choreo even though I'm not a dancer. His super clue this episode was a bit on the super side as he brought out a comic book that reads The Amazing Adventures of Shellboy, priced at $10.13. He also said, this is not another teeny clue. After his performance, an April Fool's clue was, I'm not just known for one thing.
A man of many shells.
I know.
Well, that had the judges guessing names like Drew Lachey, Nick Lachey, Brian Luttrell, and Chris Evans? Come on, Jenny, that was a total Ken guess. Mr. Donkey here on YouTube is following her lead, guessing the Turtle as John Cena. Does this 160-pound little dude look like John Cena to you?
I look like Mark Wahlberg ate Mark Wahlberg.
Anyway, Deanna's guess here is at least a little better than that with BTS's RM, but you're wrong. The Turtle is 100,000% Jesse McCartney. Jesse has done lots of acting outside of his music career, and it's pretty safe to assume 40 pounds is a quarter of his body weight. He's also never been a trained dancer, is of course a former teeny bopper, and was the voice of Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, on Young Justice from 2010 to 2013. Not to mention, he recently picked the role back up in 2019. Up next, the Kangaroo hinted this episode, I came here to show my strength and bounce back after being vilified by kangaroomers of my past. I've been put through hell this past year, and this performance is my response. Her super clue was, alright dolls, do you know who I am now? As she showed an inflatable kangaroo, and after her performance, she hinted that she's never lived in Australia. The judges' guesses included Amber Rose, Leanne Rimes, and India Ari, while you guys guessed on our last Group A video that she could be Ronda Rousey or Natalie Imbruglia. Well, ding dong, don't believe everything you see on the internet because the Kangaroo is definitely Jordan Woods. Listen up. She got a lot of hate after the Tristan Thompson debacle with the Kardashians, and thus had a pretty hard time losing most of her social circle this past year. She has never lived in Australia, and I think that kangaroo doll clue is a reference to her portraying a life-size doll in Justin Roberts' Way Too Much video. Moving on to the kitty. I'm officially changing my guess for her this round, so bear with me guys. This episode she hinted, since starting young, for a large part of my life, I've been struggling with my self-image. But she said since she joined The Masked Singer, she's much happier because every week I really get to let my freak flag fly. Her super clue this week was last season's costume, the Christmas tree. She said, I'm not going to make this complicated, Christmas is truly the most wonderful time of the year, ring any jingle bells? And her April Fool's post-performance clue was, I was not dreaming when Robert Redford helped me to get my very first role. The judges are guessing Nicole Richie, Vanessa Hudgens, Emma Roberts, and sweet, sweet Ken guessed Avril Lavigne. You'll get it one of these days, bud. Some of you on YouTube were much nicer about my previous guesses than others. At least I'm not guessing freaking Emma Watson, I'm officially going to agree with Lucas here and change my guess to Jackie Ivanko. She started her career very young, and it was Robert Redford who gave her start in his 2012 film, The Company You Keep. She has a platinum-selling Christmas album, and she's a classical vocalist, so this show is definitely letting her freak flag fly. Sorry it took me so long, I never claimed to be perfect. I mean, I'm amazing, but perfect is a high bar. Up next, the banana. And this one I've been guessing for a while now. He hinted this episode, a traumatic injury from my past made me forget the lyrics in my second performance, but I rallied the next go around, and his super clue was a mullet? Gross. Tiger King sheep. He said, you might be a kindred spirit if you've ever rocked one of these. Finally, his April Fool's clue was, blue collar has many meanings, but when I say blue collar, I'm a funny guy, but I'm not stand-up funny. Well, the judges are guessing Bret Michaels, Brad Paisley, and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Traumatic incident could be when I performed with one of his daughters at the VMAs.
Oh, we remember that! Billy Ray Cyrus!
Meanwhile, on our last video, you guys guessed Owen Wilson or Larry the Cable Guy. Sorry, Karen, but that one just got ruled out this episode, and I gotta agree with Jenny. The banana is so obviously Bret Michaels. As far as previous injury goes, Bret has plenty. He once crashed his Ferrari into a telephone pole, breaking ribs and messing up his nose and teeth. The one that probably made him forget his lyrics, though, was when he was hit by a piece of scenery during the 2009 Tony Awards. He says that started a hemorrhage in his brain that caused a stroke a year later. On a lighter note, dude has definitely rocked a mullet, and while Bret may be amusing, he's not a stand-up comedian. So with that, let's jump over to the frog. This episode he hinted, man, let me tell ya, I love, love, love being the frog. On that stage, the passion for performance I'd lost over the years has been totally reinvigorated. His super clue was knight's armor, and his post-performance clue was, I'm actually not a trained dancer at all, do you feel me, baby? Yeah, I feel you, baby. The judges, on the other hand, aren't, with guesses like Cisco, Omarion, and Little Romeo. Really, Ken? Cisco?
I'm offended he called me out. I'm not happy.
Thankfully, you guys are on the same page as me on our last Group B video. The frog, without a doubt, is Shad Moss, aka Bow Wow. It's definitely been a minute since he took the stage, as the frog hinted. He also starred in Like Mike, where he magically gained the basketball skills of Michael Jordan through a pair of Jordan's old shoes. And the pro team he played for with those new powers? The Los Angeles Knights. And finally, the clue about him not being a trained dancer? That holds up. We see you, Bow Wow. And with that, here are the final 3 contestants moving forward from the Super 9. The Night Angel hinted this episode, I've avoided putting myself front and center for years. I've been scared of standing alone after facing rejection in my past. Her super clue was a tricycle, and her April Fool's hint at what she's not was, I'm not just a voice, I'm a mogul. Well, the judges still aren't quite catching on. Robin thinks it's Tamar Braxton, Jenny thinks she's Brandy, and Ken is guessing Tisha Campbell.
Damn, Gina!
On our last video, Carisha commented that she agrees with our clues, but also doesn't agree? Girl, it's called a red herring. Thankfully, Alana is on our side. The Night Angel is definitely Candy Burris. She hasn't vocally performed in a minute after a few attempts at a solo career didn't go very well. She has, however, not only starred on Real Housewives of Atlanta, but also has her own candy makeup and adult toy brand. And for the tricycle clue, that's a hint at the high school Candy went to, Tri-Cities High School. Up next this episode, the Rhino hinted, it's funny the panel thinks I'm an athlete because of my size. Music has been my passion since I was a child. 1, I've risen up the Billboard charts, and 2, you may even have an album of mine. His super clue was this slot machine, to which he said, for a quarter, I'll fish you a clue. You know I'm a risk-taking gambling type, but that's not all this means. And his post-performance April Fool's clue was, I'm not nearly as tall as you think I am. The judges are changing their guesses this round to Vince Gill, Duff McKagan, and Derek Jeter? Dang, Jenny, taking one out of pens book this episode? Anyway, YouTube, I have almost all of you on the same page as me, but a few of you stragglers are still playing with guesses like John Travolta? Seriously? It's Barry freaking Zito! He released his own album titled No Secrets that peaked at 18 on Billboard's list of US top heat seekers albums. An arm slot is the angle at which a pitcher delivers their pitch, and Zito is known for his 3/4 arm slot. Oh, Zito was also born in Vegas. And finally, Barry is 6'2". All you people out there swearing the Rhino is 6'4" or 6'6". All right, final contestant. Here we go. The astronaut's clues this episode were right on track with my guesses. He said, "You see, on my old planet, something happened that changed the course of my career. I was forced to start over, but negativity made it difficult to launch again." His super clue was a record with an Earth that then shatters. And after his performance, he said, "I've never had traditional voice training." The judges still don't have a clue, but they're getting closer, guessing David Archuleta, JC Chazé, and Ryan Tedder. As far as you guys on YouTube go, Mr. Donkey again doesn't seem to agree with me, but also has no guess. So like, come back when you do, bro. Like Steven here, because the astronaut is, without a doubt, Hunter Hayes. Hunter has been singing since he was a kid with, you guessed it, no formal training. But he had a pretty rocky national anthem performance during Game 6 of the 2016 World Series, and it pretty much took him out of the limelight for a while. He also broke the record for performing in the most cities in 24 hours. Boom! Done! Those are my official guesses for the top 8 contestants left on Season 3 of The Masked Singer. But I'm sure I missed something. Let me know what you clued into this episode in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. We're doing these recaps every week, and I might just mention your comments in our next video. So stay tuned with us here at Cinema Blend.